how's it going? Alright, so I'm gonna try, let me set this timer. I'm gonna try to knock this out one more time and do it quickly since I spent way too much time last time on it and I wasn't trying to post a 45-minute video. So these two files, I guess I'll just go over real quick. They're both done exactly the same way as I'm gonna explain it. I just want to explain it quickly, so that way I'm not just wasting a shitload of time mumbling and stuff. So down here, I'll just highlight it in this color real quick. So down here is my color reference, which if I could remember how to spell reference. Color reference, I usually do that just to make sure I don't deviate from the colors that I'm supposed to be using, just to make sure that, you know, if it is a character that's already around, I want to make sure that it looks like the character, so the colors have to be right and stuff. So that's my color reference, which I did previously because I had planned on painting this dude. It's actually like a full figure thing. I have it over here somewhere. I can just show you real quick. So I just kind of just did a quick line art of his head to kind of show for the video, you know, whatever. So outlining wise, I outlined it using just the exact same thing, which was these two pens. These two pens right here is what I used to outline the whole thing. I usually use this first to do like the nice bold stuff, you know, because it has streamline and it keeps it smooth. So I do like the bolder stuff on the outside, and then I would use this to do all of the stuff in between, just to make it look nice and fluent, you know. And so that's pretty much how I did all of the lines. So yeah, I did all of the lines using those two pens. I didn't use anything else besides those two. And yeah, so let's see, then we need to get into how to shade and stuff, I guess, since lighting is pretty self-explanatory. I guess I'll just go right into shading. So let's see here, we'll just make a new layer and we'll just leave it alone. There's two brushes that I always use for shading. Just really depends on the effect that you're going for. Either we could use this watercolor brush here, or we could use this pepper shading brush down here. It just really depends on what you're going to go for. If you're doing tattoo designs, I would probably recommend using the pepper shading brush. But yeah, so I mean, using the selection tool that is, you know, up there, usually you could use it in freehand or automatic. Just for the video, I'm just going to use it in freehand, where you just select it yourself. So we'll just select this area here, and basically that's going to be like, I can't shade outside of that selection. That looks super weird. So then, you know, I'll have my selection, I'll click on the brush, and then I'll make sure that the brush is selected, I'm in the right layer, I get the right color, and then it's as simple as like just going in small circles to build up the shadow. And then you have the shadow. So let's see, let's go a little bit more in depth here. So if I want to do a shadow, I'll just select here. I want to do a shadow coming out from under this, but I don't want to get too crazy. So selecting it makes it so that I can't go out here. You know, I can only shade in what's selected. So, you know, I just build it up and get my shadows. And then this doesn't really, like, you could use the water, I like to use a watercolor brush sometimes. It really depends on what you're going for, but it's the same exact thing, you know, you just do small circles and just build it up. So that's way too dark, but that's a lot better. So let's see, let's just go over here, get this one. Yep, got that. And then we'll just do the shadows for the eyes real quick. Here. Boop, boop. So we're just doing small circles and just building up the shadows up until we get it to where we need it, which is about right there. Then we'll do the same thing on this side. If you use automatic and you have your line art set to reference, you can just select it if it's fully closed. So I can just select it and move the threshold up to about right there. And then same thing, we're just doing small circles and just building up the shadow up until like about right there. Oh, shut up, phone. Okay. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much shading in a nutshell. It's really simple. I mean, I always like to make my selections just to make sure that I don't go overboard when I'm shadowing. So I only want to shade that part right there. Then I would just select that, and then just I know it won't go past that, so I know where to stay within. But yeah, so that's how I pretty much do shadows for basically everything. I just select it, and then once it's selected, I just do small circles and just build up the shadow until I think it looks good. So then we'll just get right into color, which is the next thing, which is super simple too. You just want to make a layer underneath your shadows. The reason why you want to do it underneath is because if you do it over, it's basically going to go over whatever it is that you had painted. Sorry, let me get the right brush here. So if you have it over, it'll go over your shadows, and you don't want that. So you just put it under your shadows, and then just start coloring. Doesn't have to be super neat or anything, just for the video. So just kind of speed it up. Sorry. Do. Just gonna quickly go through this. Get that. Get the little ear. I'm not gonna do the whole thing either. I'm just gonna just do it quick. Like I said, I did this already, and I spent about 45 minutes explaining something that I feel like I could have explained a lot faster. So just trying to save time here. Nobody wants to watch a 45-minute video on drawing. So, and I'm just selecting colors for my color reference, like I said, so I make sure I don't get too crazy. I guess I'll color that ear too while I'm at it. I'm gonna go a little bit darker with the eyes. And put some red. I know this isn't the same color as the color reference, but screw it. I'll do what I want. Okay, so that's pretty much flats, and then you would just go in and kind of refine that stuff a little bit more. You could do a 2-finger swipe on your layer to the right and it'll lock the transparency. Basically that means that you can't color outside of the lines. It'll just stay within what you already colored. So yeah, moving on to like how I do shading and stuff. I always I like to leave my flats alone sometimes, or I just like kind of render them out a little bit more. But I always make a new layer, set it to multiply, and drop it down. Usually anywhere between 65 to 70 is a good spot. I always use the same purple. I don't know why. Some people use dark blues or dark grays. I always use this color. Doesn't really matter what color you use. This all comes down to preference. But I use the spray paint tool first to kind of block in like the larger areas, just to make sure I get everything I need to get. Blocked in first, and then I'll use a medium airbrush and make it a lot smaller, and then go in and, you know, just like give it a little bit something extra in certain spots that need a little bit more love. I went really heavy with that shadow in the middle. So you just can add all the shadows wherever you feel like you need them. So like if there was a shadow, like a whatever light coming this way, you want to cast a shadow from the horn, you know, just go ahead and do it inside this layer because it gives it like some cool effect. And then, so let's say that's done. You want to do like white highlights. I always do like white highlights above everything else, and obviously just white. And then depending on what you're going for, you can either use the medium airbrush if you need a little bit of a softer touch, or the DigiPen, and then just get like those hard, whatever you're trying to go for, you know, the hard white. Put those wherever you feel like they need to go, and yeah. So there's pretty much that, and then I mean, might as well just add this real quick. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. I mean, highlights are pretty simple. You know, I always like to sometimes do this. I'm just gonna do it real sloppy, so I feel like I'm wasting a lot of time here. But we're just gonna make a quick selection, and then I always like to do that just because, like, if you're gonna tattoo this, you know, you want something heavy against your colors to make them pop out a lot more. So I'll probably just do that all the way around. Am I on the right layer? Yeah, I am. That's weird. So just do that all the way around. Yeah, and I'll just real quick just clean it up. Whatever. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much everything, honestly. Like that's all I do. Here I have, I can just erase these. So I did like some finished versions already. So this was for the other video that I did, where I rendered it out a little bit more. Colors are obviously different too because I wasn't really paying too much attention to it, but it's the exact same thing. So we have, the line art, and then we would have did line art, and then the shadows, which are the exact same thing as the way I did them, and then the flats, and then the shadows, and then the white highlights. So pretty much that. And I guess I can do like a quick time lapse. So that was like the pencil, then I turned it black, added all the shadows in exactly how I showed you, then added all the flats real quick, just tried to clean it up as much as I could. Did some shading, then added some white, added the pupils, and then I started this video. And I mean, it's honestly like, I've done it here too. I'll show you the time lapse. I did 4 quick drawings of some pretty simple stuff. I just did like a rose, and then I did, a traditional sparrow. I did a Japanese Karen and a little magic harp. Same thing, I just outlined everything using the same 2 brushes I always use, and then added the shadows the same way I always do, and then just colored it in. It just comes from knowledge, I guess, from just looking at other stuff and looking at other people do it. You kind of figure out how to color it and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty much the same technique for everything. Adding colors and then lighting them up, and then add the shadows, highlights. I did some different shadows there, but yeah, it's pretty much all the same. I mean, it's exactly how I do all of my stuff. So if I were to pull up, let's say, this video here, I gotta let it load because it's a shit ton of layers. But if we were to break it down real quick, really simple. So let me just turn all these off real quick. Okay, so we have our line art, which is set as a reference. And then we did our shadows, did all the shadows, and then we did the flat colors, which would be that right there. Those are the flats. We did his little tattoos, or his whatever the fuck they are, tattoos or whatever. Did some pupils, did some more shadows, and some white, more white. This white is at like a lower opacity, so it's like a softer white. Did this like yellow glow effect thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that, and I can show you like the quick time lapse for this too. Oh, sorry, that's another drawing I'm working on. Okay, so I got the pencil sketch and stuff, size it up, everything, set it to the right page and everything. And then I'm just going in and outlining everything slowly. So once it's all outlined, I'll skip forward. Then we start shading. This is super simple, same as I showed earlier. Exact same techniques, nothing's different. Just switching between the pepper shading brush and the soft air brush, or the watercolor brush. Here I'm just adding all the flats, and now here I'm starting to refine those colors and add the other tones and all that stuff based off of the mid-tones. Adding all of his tattoos. I'm going to say tattoos because they look like tattoos. That's the color reference that I had originally done. Trying to figure out the pupils. Adding all the shading here. I'm just going to fast forward. Shading, highlights. Added the blue for the background. And added some yellow for the little effect. A little bit more shading, some texture, blah blah blah, and it's all done. So exact same techniques, just everything that I did in the other thing I just did here, but obviously just took my time with it more. And I do the same thing for literally every drawing that I do. So if I were to, it's the exact same for everything. Sometimes they're even easier, like they have less layers, but I mean it's the exact same for everything. So nothing too crazy. Everything's pretty self-explanatory and simple. Um, like I said, just usually 3 or 4 layers. Yeah, 4 layers gets it all done. I mean, you could go in and really, like refine, just select the color and then get a lighter value and, start going in, adding more values and all that junk if you wanted to. I'm not going to, but let's see, let's just say the eye. So you want to fix the eye a bit, make it pop out. Or, whatever, let's just get crazy and do like a yellow. We'll do like turn it into like a really, yeah, sure. Something like that, whatever. You get it. I mean, yeah, it's all the same, pretty simple stuff. If I miss anything, just let me know. I don't think I did. I don't use any of the crazy tools that come with Procreate. Like I know there's like a way to, if you hold it, um, I know if you hold it, you can make like straight lines, and if you hold it again, you could do stuff like that or whatever. I don't know. It's too much for me. I try to not get super crazy with it because I want to make sure that whatever I paint on the iPad, I could also paint on paper if I wanted to. So I try to keep it pretty simplistic to the same way I do traditional paintings. So I don't use all the crazy tools that it has. I mean, there's a ton of stuff, but I try to keep it pretty traditional because there's no. Eventually, I plan on being a tattoo artist, and you can't do half of this shit that you could do. Like you can't mess with blurs and shit like that. So I try to keep it pretty traditional or as close to it as possible. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If I miss anything, just let me know, or if I need to explain something better, just let me know because I know that I am terrible at explaining shit. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that.